Hey, my reactor. So we're gonna be reading this book called Harley by Stephen King. Harley. If they made it to a movie, but you already know how Stephen King make all his books into movies. So let's get started. It was October the 17th, 2012. It's an old city and no longer in very good shape, nor is the lake beside which it has been built, but there are parts of it that are still pretty nice. Longtime residents will probably agree that the nicest section is Sugar Heights, and the nicest streets running through it is Ridge Road, which makes a gentle downhill curve from Bell College of Arts and sides to Deer Park 2 miles below. On its way, Ridge Road passes many fine houses, some of which belong to college faculties and some to the city's more successful business people, doctors, lawyers, and bankers, and top of the pyramid business executives. Most of these homes are Victorians with impeccable paint jobs, bow windows, and lots of gingerbread trims. The park where Ridge Road terminates isn't as big as the ones that sit splat in the middle of Manhattan, but close. Deerfield is the city pride, and a platoon of gardeners keeping it looking fabulous. Oh, there's the unkept west side near Red Bank Avenue, known as the Dickens, where those seeking or selling drugs can sometimes be found after dark, and where there are the occasional muggings. But the Dickens is only 3 acres of 740. The rest are grassy, flowery, and threaded with paths where lovers stroll and benches where old men read newspapers. More and more often on electronic device these days, and women chats. Sometimes while rocking their babies back and forth in expensive prams. There are 2 ponds, and sometimes you'll see men or boys selling remote controls, both on one of them. In the other, swans and duck glide back and forth. There's a playground for the kiddies, too. Everything, in fact, except a public pool. Every now and then, the city council discusses the idea, but it keeps getting tabled. The expense, you know. This night in October is warm for this time of the year, but a fine drizzle had kept all the signals dedicated runners inside. That will be George Castro, who has a gig teaching creative writing and Latin American lit at the college. Despite his specialty, he's American born and breed. George likes to tell people he's an American. It's a Spanish word that I can't pronounce. He turned 40 in July and can no longer kid himself that he is still the young lion who had momentarily best-selling success with his first novel. 40 is when you have to stop kidding yourself that you're still a young anything. If you subscribe to such self-actualizing bullshit as 40 is the new 25, you're going to find yourself starting to slide. Just a little at first, but then a little more, and all at once you're 50 with a belly poking out your belt buckle and cholesterol busters in the medicine cabinet. At 20, the body forgives. At 40, forgiveness is provisional at best. George Castro doesn't want to turn 50 and discover he's become just another American mad slob. You have to start taking care of yourself when you're 40. You have to maintain the machinery because there's no trade in option. So George drinks orange juice in the morning, followed most days by oatmeal, and keeps red meat too once a week. When he wants a snack, he opts to open a can of sardines. They're rich in omega-3s. He does simple exercise in the morning and runs in the evening, not overdoing it, but for those 40 years old lungs and giving his 40-year-old heart a chance to strut and stuff. George wants to look and feel 40 when he gets 50, but fate is a joker. George Castro isn't even going to see 41. Wow. Let's see something. His routine, which holds even on a night of fine drizzle, is to run from the house he shares with Freddie. Theirs at least for as long as the writer in residence gig lasts. Half a mile down to college to the park. There he stretches his back, drink some of the vitamin water, store it in the fanny pack, and jog back home. The drizzle is actually invigorated, and there are no other runners, walkers, or bicyclists to weave his way through. The bicyclists are the worst, with their insisted that they have every right to ride on the sidewalk instead of the street, even though there is a bike lane. This evening he has the sidewalk all to himself. He doesn't even have to wave to people who might be taking the night air on their grand old shaded porches. The weather has kept them inside. All but one, the old Poyer. She bundles up in a Parker even though it's still in the mid-50s at 8 o'clock because she's down to 110 pounds. Her doctor routinely scolds her about her weight and she feels the cold. Even more than cold, she feels the damp. Yes, she stays because there's a poem to be had tonight. If she can just get her fingers under its lid and open it up. She hasn't written one since midsummer, and she needs to get something going before the rust sets in. She needs to represent, as her students sometimes say. More importantly, this could be a good poem, maybe even a necessary poem. It needs to begin with the way the mist revolves around the streetlights across from her, and then progress to what she thinks of as the mystery, which is everything. The mist makes slowly moving hollows, silvery and beautiful. She doesn't want to use halos because that's the expected word, the lazy word. Almost a cliche, silverly though, or maybe just silver. Her train of thought derails long enough to observe a young man at 89. 40 seems very young. Go slapping by on the other side of the road. She knows who he is, the residence writer who thinks Gabriel hung in the moon with his long dark hair and little pussy ticklers of a mustache. He reminds the old Poyer of a charming character in The Princess Bride. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. He's wearing a yellow jacket with a reflective stripe running down the back and ridiculously tight running pants. He's going like a house afire. The old poet mother might have said, or like the clappers. Clappers makes her think of bells, and her gaze returns to the streetlights directly across from her. She thinks the runner doesn't hear silver above him. Those bells don't ring. It's wrong because it's prosy, but it's a start. She had managed to get her fingers under the lid of the poem. She needs to go inside, get her notebook, and start scratching. She sits a few moments longer, though watching the silver circles revolve around the streetlights. Halos, she thinks. I can't use that word, but that's what they look like. God damn it. There is a final glimpse of the running yellow jacket. Then he's gone into the dark. The old poet struggles to her feet, wincing at the pain in her hip, and shuffles into the house. And I'll be back, y'all.